You ever wanted to come into a sports bar where the barkeeps know their game? Well, the Jeff Beecham Network, Multiverse of Media, has got a production just for you. Sit down and relax as the Stat Boy and his partner break down the statistics in all things sports. Whether it's football, basketball, motorsports, baseball, hockey, soccer, professional wrestling, mixed martial arts, boxing, and much, much more. All are welcome. Your barkeeps here keep you up to date and in the know of everything going on in sports, while also having a pleasant conversation about it all. Your host and owner of the bar, StatBoy Mike. His partner in crime, Dory Lou. And a host of other guests coming in. The food's hot, the seats are warm, the drinks are ice cold, and the sports talk is plentiful. Cassidy 18 Studios presents StatBoy Sports Bar. Take a bar stool and enjoy the show.
Hello, my internet fans. Welcome to another episode of StatBoy Sports Bar for March 12th, 2024. A beautiful day here in Sevierville, Tennessee, where I broadcast my show from. And normally Stat Girl would be with us, but unfortunately, life calls. And when life calls, you answer. That means you got to go to work. But I am very happy to announce, and I am very happy to say that making his return after a long break, a much needed break, and a life break. And he can explain all that when I return him into the bar. Welcome back, DJ Mutt King, a.k.a. Zach. Where the hell have you been, and how are you?
Well. Good morning, my friends.
Good morning. It is
Welcome
6 o'clock
back.
on the keyboard. What do you mean, good morning? Where the heck have you been, bro?
Mardi Gras took a lot out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Mardi Gras was one whirlwind, and now we're in the spring break, which is another whirlwind.
Right.
A lot of fun with college kids. But that doesn't mean the sports world slowed down. The sports world is just getting more and more interesting.
Indeed, it is. We got plenty of things to talk about. We got about hour, maybe an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, however long it takes. But the point is, we are here. And I am glad to see everybody watching. I am glad to see everyone's comments. I am glad for definitely super chats. Remember, super chat. It's as simple as that. I will immediately stop what I am talking about. I will acknowledge you, and I will let you know what questions you have answered and all that. We start every sports bar with the oldest game in the book, and that is the one where you're trying to get the ball in the hole, just like on TV, but you're doing it from hundreds of yards away. The PGA Tour comes to play in Puerto Rico and in Florida with the Puerto Rico Open and the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Two big tournaments took place this last week. In the Puerto Rico Open, Bryce Garnett had to go into 4 overtime holes to win. 4 of them, folks.
Nice.
Back to back. It was amazing. You'd think they would never, ever stop this thing. But they did. The story reads as follows from PGAtour.com. Bryce Garnett holed a 15-foot birdie putt on the 4th playoff hole Sunday to win the Puerto Rico Open in his first tournament of the year, sending him to the Players' Championship next week and giving him PGA Tour status for the next 3 years. Garnett closed with a 369 at Grand Reserve Golf Club, getting back in the game with consecutive birdies on the 13th and 14th, and then saving par on the 18th in regulation. Eric Barnes closed with a 68, also saving par on the 18th. They both finished at a 19 under 269. Both had their chances in the playoffs, each time on the 630-yard closing hole, so it was a par 5. Garnett missed a 12-foot birdie putt for the win on the first extra hole. Barnes holed a 15-foot birdie putt on the second playoff hole, with Garnett matching him from 6 feet. Barnes narrowly missed from 12 feet after Garnett's birdie on the 4th playoff hole. So congratulations to Bryce Garnett. In the Arnold Palmer Invitational, now is it lemonade and iced tea, or is it iced tea and lemonade? You decide. The number 1 player in the world, Scottie Scheffler. His goal was simple this week. He was done trying to be perfect. He knew that each time his ball slid past the hole, even when it missed by the narrowest of margins, that the shot would be shown on television and in social media. Let's face it, you miss a putt, one of the easiest putts in the world, you're going viral. And the conversation would continue about the state of his putting. Putting is the most fickle part of this frustrating game for a reason. Of course, it's not all about driving, it's about putting. The margins are so small and the results are so binary. Miss or make, those are the only 2 options. There is no middle ground. But he got his game down, ending up winning the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Coming up next is the Players' Championship. Tiger Woods will not be there this week. He has decided not to play in the Players. It is one of the flagship events of the PGA Tour. Let me get this graphic off real quick so we can... Tiger Woods coming back about, I think it was 3 weeks ago. Yep. He just wasn't ready. They still say it was flu-like symptoms. Of course, we all know Tiger's had back problems. I mean, even I can't go all the way back with a golf club. I've never really properly tried, but that's as far back as I can go. I can't go any further back. I can putt, but I can't drive. I can drive a car, but not a golf club. You get on the links at all?
I mean, on the mini course.
Everybody plays putt-putt. I mean, come on, man. Everybody plays. We've got tons of courses out here, by the way. Pigeon
Yes,
Forge
you
and
do.
people. Yeah, we do.
Well, you have a mini golf YouTube legend out there in Tennessee.
Yes, we do, actually. Yeah, it'd be great to get him on the show. That'd be a good idea. Never say never when it comes to whoever pops in on the sports bar. All right, let's take a look and see what the ladies were up to as we bring up our next graphic. The Blue Bay LPGA in Hainan Island, China. Winner, Bailey Tardy. Let's bring up the story and let's see what's going on with her. This is from LPGA.com. Bailey Tardy didn't have an easy road to the LPGA Tour, but boy, was the difficult journey worth it. She became the 2024 LPGA Tour season's first Rolex first-time winner on Sunday in the People's Republic of China, making 1 bogey, 6 birdies, and an eagle in her final 11 holes to win by 4 shots over Sarah Schmelzel at the Blue Bay LPGA. And now that she has her first trophy under her belt and in her hand, the 27-year-old can finally reflect on just how far she's come the last 6 years and just how hard she's fought to make her dreams a reality. Congratulations. Well done indeed. Of course, the top 10 are in the race for the CME Globe. Lydia Ko is still the number 1 player at 987 points. Ayaka Fiore at 651. Patty Tavanikit at 586. Nelly Korda at 552. Brooke M. Henderson at 518. Hannah Green at 5045. Bailey Tardy is now in the top 10. 500 points to the winner of the majority of tournaments. Bigger tournaments are worth 700. Majors are worth 500. Celine Boutier at 435, Sarah Schmezel at 416, and 405 for Albane Valenzuela. With the guys, I didn't get. I should go back to that and read off the stats there in the FedEx Cup Series. Let me get rid of this real quick so you can bring you and me back in. And in the top 10, Scotty Scheffler not only is the number 1 player overall, he is the leader in the FedEx Cup standings with 1,548 points. Wyndham Clark is in second at 1,173. Matthew Pavon, who was the leader over the last 5 or 6 tournaments, is now in third place at 987. Hideki Matsuyama at 958, Byung-Hun An at 948, Sahith Tagala at 886, Chris Kirk at 856, Jake Knapp at 785, Xander Schauffele at 763, and rounding out the top 10 is Will Zalatoris at 761. All right, that wraps up golf. The ladies are going to play in their next tournament coming up. And as always, we bring it here in the sports bar. As far as tennis goes, there is a tournament going on currently. I believe it's the Indian Wells Classic. I don't have the stats and scores from last week. Sorry about that. But, you miss a week and nothing else happens, but that's life. But both the ATP and the WTA are playing in tournaments currently right now. And then when that ends up, it comes up in the next week's stats. So unfortunately, no major tennis news. Moving on. They're making a left turn as they went into the desert for Phoenix. The Shriners Children 500. And that picture is wrong. That picture is from the Xfinity Series. That is not from the Cup Series. I messed that up, didn't I? I sure did on that one. Oh, well. Christopher Bell was the winner of the Shriners Children 500 in Phoenix in his number 20 Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. Chris Boucher is number 17 in his Ford for RFK. Christopher Bell's partner, racing team partner, Ty Gibbs, in the number 54 Toyota, third place. Brad Kozlowski in his number 6 Ford, fourth place for RFK Racing. Joe Gibbs and RFK Racing, top 4 finish for both teams. Ryan Blaney in the number 12 Ford for Team Penske took 5th. Ross Chastain in his Chevrolet, that's the highest Chevrolet in the top 10 for this race. Trackhouse Racing Team, he took 6th. Martin Truex Jr., last season's season point winner in the regular season, took 7th. Another Joe Gibbs racer. Michael McDowell, 8th in his Ford for Front Row Motorsports. Chase Briscoe was 9th, and Tyler Reddick was 10th. In the standings, Ryan Blaney is your new number 1 racer. Remember, you want to be in the top 16. If you are not in the top 16, when the playoffs start later this year, you're out. You're not out of the race. You're just out of the standings for the Cup Series finale. Kyle Larson and Martin Truex Jr. are only 10 points behind. William Byron's in fourth. He's on 17 points behind. Tyler Reddick and Ty Gibbs are 21 points behind. Ross Chastain and Denny Hamlin are 22 points behind. Chase Elliott is 28 points behind. Daniel Suarez is 37 points behind. Kyle Busch, he's our hometown or our home driver this season for RCR. In the top 16, he's 11th. Christopher Bell is 12th. Alex Bowman is 13th. Bubba Wallace for the 23XI is 14th. Austin Cindric is 15th. And Chris Boucher is 16th.
Seems like Joe Gibbs Racing's having themselves a pretty good start to the season.
Yes, they are indeed. And I see my mistake now. What I did was I downloaded the same picture twice. Well, it happens sometimes. It happens a bit. It happens. Yep. The Call 818 Before You Dig 200 was the Xfinity car race, and the driver who was acknowledging was the winner, Chandler Smith, in his number 81 Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. Jesse Love in his number 2 Chevrolet for RCR. Sheldon Creed took third for his number 18 Toyota. Austin Hill, number 21 in his Chevrolet, RCR. So in the Xfinity, it's Joe Gibbs and RCR going back and forth. Cole Custer in the double aught for Ford for Stewart Hart Racing took fifth. Shane Van Gissenberg in his number 97 Chevrolet for Cog Racing. Chevrolet rounds out the top 10 with Brandon Jones, Parker Kligerman, Sammy Smith, and Anthony Alfredo for JR Motorsports, Big Machine Racing, and R Motorsports. Not only did Chandler Smith win the race, he's also the number 1 racer in the Xfinity Series at 183 points. Austin Hill is right behind him with -1. And then everyone else has got a lot of catching up to do because they're all 30 points and below. Cole Custer's at 33, Riley Herbst at 37, Jesse Love at 48, Sheldon Creed at 53, AJ Allmendinger at 59, Justin Allgaier at 64, Brandon Jones at 65, Sammy Smith at 69, Parker Kligerman at 78, and Anthony Alfredo at 85. Craftsman Series did not race this week. They raced last week. I do believe that they will be racing in Bristol. It's Bristol, baby. It's time for them to come out for the Food City 500. Unfortunately, I didn't get enough time to join the raffle at work, so we're not going to Bristol now. I would rather go to the night race. The night race is much more fun. And unfortunately, this is the first year that it's not going to be the dirt track. I really did want to see the dirt track last year. Usually drifting is fun, but when you have that NASCAR going over 170 miles an hour, throwing in the dirt, and I think it rained last year too, so of course it would turn to mud instead of dirt. So just wasn't in the cards this race. But hey, when the race comes to the night track at Bristol, I think it'll be a lot more fun.
I'm still trying to get that triple threat ending out of my head. It's still
from last week in Las Vegas, yeah.
It's still playing and playing and playing and playing, and it's just, man.
Oh no, not Las Vegas. It was Arizona. You're talking about the 3 wide with Daniel Suarez, Kyle Busch, and yeah. I could have sworn I didn't see Suarez first. I saw whoever was on the outside by the wall. That's the way I saw it. But They slowed it down they get it down to the 1,000th of a second. They get it really, really close. Unfortunately, it just did.
I feel like I was watching horse racing instead. That's how exciting it was.
Oh yeah, indeed. And the commentators were like, How often do you get a 3 wide finish in NASCAR? You really, really don't. Not at all. No. But hey, it comes up. It comes up. All righty. So in our intro, of course, we come up. It's reported and announced that we do combat sports. We've got a news story here. And this one, when you first look at it, you're thinking, what the hell is he thinking? And then hashtag Jake's going to die. Jake Paul is scheduled to fight Mike Tyson in a match on July 20th. It will be streamed on Netflix. This graphic comes from Renegade, so thank you, Renegade, for that. This is the tale of the tape. So let's break this down here. Mm-hmm. Everyone, if you don't know who Mike Tyson is by now, you've been living in a cave for the past 20 years, if not longer. Mike Tyson is 57 years old. He's a former champion, and he will knock you out. Let's look past Evander Holyfield and what happened all those years ago. Jake Paul is 27 years old. So if you're looking at that, Jake Paul has youth. Jake Paul might have more speed and whatnot. Mike Tyson, of course, has more experience. Mike Tyson has 58 fights with a record of 50 wins, 6 losses, and 2 knockouts. Jake Paul only has 10 fights. He's 9-1, so he's only lost once. But, of course, Mike Tyson has 44 knockouts, and Jake Paul has 6 knockouts. Now, Mike Tyson is 5'10", and Jake Paul is 6'1". So Jake is about 3 to 4 inches taller. Their weight is in stones. It's not in pounds. I didn't get a chance to convert stones to pounds. And just for the social media count, Mike Tyson has 24 million followers. Jake Paul has 26 million followers. Of course, Iron Mike Tyson, and I guess Jake Paul is being called the problem child. Again, right now, what the hell are you thinking, Jake Paul? Why in God's name do you want to go into the ring and die on Netflix television? Are you out of your mind? Are you insane? Take it away there.
It's like the same thought process that's going through Buster Douglas's head. Buster Douglas wants to get back in the ring with Mike Tyson.
Come on.
Give him his rematch. Like, I think these people have been hit upside the head one too many times.
You think?
That their thought process is not too smart?
Rocky Balboa said it best in one of the movies. When you get punched in the head 500 times, it starts to sting a little bit.
Right.
And by the time we got to the 5th movie, he had, irreversible brain damage from Ivan Drago. So, I mean, what? I mean, you had the chance to play against Mike Tyson all those years ago, 1988, 1989. I could never beat Mike Tyson. I could never knock him out. I don't even remember if you could beat him by decision by playing Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Great game, by the way. If you know, you know, with the NES. Great game. Even Mike Tyson can't beat Mike Tyson. I remember a few years back, he was on the Tonight Show, and they had an NES set up, and you couldn't beat him. Mike Tyson knocked Mike Tyson out. It's crazy. Who knows what's going to happen? It's probably, betting galore. There'll probably be some bets. They don't know if it's going to be an exhibition fight or if it is going to be a professional fight. The state of Texas is going to sanction the fight. They have to sanction everything. It's all in their eyes. So, and Logan, let's touch on the WWE stuff here. Logan Paul and Prime and WWE have come to an agreement to where I guess they're going to put the Prime logo in the ring for marketing. I did finally break down. I did finally try a bottle of Prime. It's very sweet. It was only the one flavor I've tried. It is a hydrating drink. You will get hydrated. So, the taste is good. I got that berry freeze one or whatever. So it is tasty, but marketing is insane when it comes to that. And then, of course, Randy Orton, RKO's KSI on Raw. Poor KSI, man. I don't know much about this guy, but I feel bad for him. I really do. I mean, one, he dresses up like a giant bottle of Prime. Sure. Who paid him to do that? Probably Logan himself. Because I don't think WWE would dare say, "Oh, let's put your buddy in a Prime bottle and we'll pay him." But hey, anything to get the marketing out there, and
you got to promote. You got to promote your product.
Promote merchandising. As simple as that.
Just like super chat, baby. It works hand in hand.
Exactly. All right, moving on. College basketball.
Oh, here we go.
The men's basketball season is over. It's not over till March Madness. There are still tournaments being played this week. It is championship week. There are 32 conferences. A few teams have already punched their ticket, but by the time we come onto the air next week, we'll have the entire bracket ready. However, this story comes up to play from the ladies. 6 NCAA players ejected after an on-court altercation. This is now the second basketball altercation in the last 3 weeks. Took place between South Carolina and Louisiana State University. And the story reads from ESPN. Let me bring up that story really quick. Oh my gosh, what a disaster this was, by the way, too. South Carolina forward Camila Cardoso was one of 6 players ejected from the SEC championship game after she shoved LSU's Flagey Johnson to the floor late in the fourth quarter of the Gamecocks' 79-72 win. Gamecocks guard Malaysia Fulwiley had stolen the ball from Johnson, who wrapped her up, although when you watch the footage, and this footage does exist on ESPN and YouTube, it didn't even look like a wrap-up. It looked like a simple foul. It wasn't like the foul that took place 3 weeks ago in the NBA. It wasn't that serious, in my opinion. Johnson bumped South Carolina's Ashlyn Watkins while heading to her bench, and then the 6'7" Cardoso rushed in and pushed the 5'10" Johnson to the ground. Aside from Cardoso, the other players ejected, South Carolina's Chloe Kitts, Tessa Johnson, and Sakima Walker, and LSU's Aaliyah Del Rosario and Janae Kent, they were all ejected, leaving only the 5 players from each team. The starting 5 were only allowed. Everybody else was forced back into their locker rooms. Flagey Johnson's brother, and this was confirmed, it is on the videos, he did jump over the scoring table, and Greenville police did escort him out of the building. They did not arrest him, though. He was just dismissed from the courts there. So he got into it. Of course, after the game, both teams they closed their doors to the media. There have been apologies on social media, left and right. However, when I first saw this story, I did not think in any way that the ladies would do this. This is something that you hear this and you're like, wait, the ladies are doing this? I mean, I've yet to look back on the footage in the PWHL for a hockey fight. This is amazing. And and they're getting into it. Luckily, no punches were thrown. It was just a bunch of pushing and shoving, really.
Yep.
Is it disgraceful to the sport? Yes, absolutely. But I mean, I'm like, what's going on here?
I was watching it live.
You saw it live.
Yep. So let's start with Camilla. Yes, first.
Let's.
Going into this game, it was the SEC championship. You know, the game before, she saved South Carolina's undefeated season by making a buzzer beater, by making her first 3-pointer of her career. This goes on top of the world. Everybody's praising her. And then this situation happens.
Right.
And she's the main instigator with the pushing, the shoving. My biggest issue coming from this game is that the referees allowed this game to be way too physical from the start. There was a lot of pushing and a lot of shoving the entire game. And it finally got to the boiling point right there at the end. But from the start, the officiating should have never let that happen.
Agreed.
You can't allow it to get to those points. And I'm from Louisiana, of course. I love my LSU ladies. But you gotta learn how to control yourself. And Angel Reese with her comments like, we're not scared of South Carolina, we're not scared of nobody. It's not about that.
Not at all.
Don't go out there and post that because it makes you look like you're proud of what you did. You got to be role models. That's not okay. It's not okay.
Not okay at all. I get that basketball is it's up there. Basketball is a game of respect, obviously. I mean, if you disrespect somebody on the court, there will be consequences. Same in hockey. Not so much in football. You get a good tackle, you get a good hit. You're 50-50 on that one. But again, the foul was not that bad. Like I said, I don't know why ESPN is saying wrapped her up. There was no wrap at all. It was like just simple contact. That's all I saw. All I saw was simple contact. Either way, I agree with what you said there. You gotta tone it down a little bit. You gotta look and think about, what's going to happen. All the girls that want to go out there and play basketball, they do not want to see that. They want to see the girls do well and play and just play. That's basically all I can really say about that. It's sad. It truly was sad, but we'll just move on and go from there.
Everybody wants to be Caitlin Clark, but they can't maturely handle it like Caitlin Clark.
And congratulations to Caitlin Clark, as she will be joining the WNBA draft this coming up. That's going to be coming up soon, I believe. She will be joining the WNBA. Can't wait to see where she goes. And who knows? Maybe she can take down the powerhouse known as the Las Vegas Aces. Anyway, that's what I think about that. All right, moving on to the pros. The NBA is in full swing. And what I've done this week, this is still the power rankings, but I've also put in the playoff pictures as well. As you can see on each team, it's where they are in the standings and where they would be in the playoffs. So we all know Boston is still the number one team overall. They have the best record at 50-14. They are number one in the East. We have a new number one in the West, Oklahoma City at 45-19. The Nuggets are 45-20. They are number two in the West. And the Minnesota Timberwolves are 44-21. They are number three in the West. The next team is the Milwaukee Bucks. They are 42-23. They are ranked number two in the East. And rounding out column one are the Los Angeles Clippers at 41-22, ranked number 4 in the West. Going over to column two, the Cleveland Cavaliers are 41-24. They are ranked number 3 in the East. The New Orleans Pelicans are 39-25. They are ranked number 5 in the West. And Phoenix Suns are 38-27. They are number 6 in the West. So those 6 teams, Oklahoma, Denver, Minnesota, Los Angeles, New Orleans, and Phoenix. Those 6 teams are guaranteed and locked in to play in the NBA tournament, the NBA playoffs. The Orlando Magic is 37-28, number 5 in the East. The Dallas Mavericks are 37-28. They are ranked number 8 in the West. It goes by percentage. So not only have I put where they are ranked in the playoff picture, I'm also going where they are in my rankings. My rankings are by record, but I just took out the points per game. Now, the Kings are 36-27, but their percentage ranks them higher currently than the Mavericks. The Philadelphia 76ers are the number 6 team in the West. No, that's not right. That should be East, I think. Yeah, that should be number 6 in the East. Yeah, that's Philadelphia. So Boston, Milwaukee, Cleveland, New York, Orlando, Philadelphia. Those 6 teams are guaranteed to be in. Pacers are 36-29, number 7 in the West. Lakers are 36-30, number 9 in the West. Miami at 35-29, number 8 in the East. And Golden State rounds out the top 3 columns at 34-30. They are the last team in the West to play in the playoffs. Chicago's at 31-34, and Atlanta is 29-35. Where Atlanta is, that is the last spot. That is the 20th playoff spot. Teams 7, 8, 9, and 10, they are going to play in the in-play tournament. 7 is going to play 8. 9 is going to play 10. So right now, number 7 in the West is Sacramento. Number 8 in the West is Dallas. So Sacramento would play Dallas if the playoffs started today. Los Angeles Lakers would play Golden State. The winner between Sacramento and Dallas automatically moves on. They will play as the number 7 seed in the NBA playoffs. The number 2 seed in the West is Denver. So it would be 2 versus the winner of 7 and 8. The loser between 7 and 8 would play the winner of 9 and 10. So in the Battle of California between the Lakers and the Warriors, they would play against the loser between the Kings and the Mavericks. The team that is ranked number 10, that loser is out. They are gone. The remaining teams going from Houston all the way down to Detroit, because San Antonio and Washington did get eliminated last week. They are no longer in playoff contention. Ironically, Detroit has the same record as Washington, but Detroit is on life support. One more loss and they're out. The other teams are still in play. Houston, Utah, Brooklyn, Toronto, Memphis, Portland, Charlotte, and Detroit can still get in. It's just not looking all that good for Detroit. It is possible, more than likely, in the next couple of games, if not tonight, they will be out. So 20 teams get in. Remember, 7 plays 8, 9 plays 10. The winner of 7 advances. The loser of 9 and 10 is out. The winner of 9 and 10 plays 8. Then you have your standard 1-8, 4-5, 3-6, 2-7 format. Then after that, it continues down to 4, then it continues down to 2, and it continues down to 1 team, and that will be your 2023-2024 NBA champion. My early pick, going on the record here, I'm saying it's going to be Boston, Minnesota. Minnesota has been playing very good this season. Dory Lou has been following them a lot. She loves her Minnesota teams. Minnesota has slipped a little bit, but that's okay. They can bounce back. Boston, Minnesota is my pick. Right? Really? They're the number 1 teams. It's the go-to.
Boston. I gotta agree with you.
There you go.
My heart says OKC though, because God, that process has been so good. They started with nothing and then they still have a lot of draft picks, but they started with 16 draft picks and just built a juggernaut of young talent. That's truly the definition of trust the process.
Indeed. Trust the process and trust the sports bar. As we always do before we go into hockey, we love to show this next trailer coming up. So we're going to continue that tradition. Here's Gary Hewitt, 1 in a Million. And when we come back, hockey, and we actually have off-season football news to talk about. Just because it's the off-season doesn't mean there's not news. A little bit of baseball news, too, as well, as we're getting closer to opening day. We'll be right back.
Gary Hebert, the man, the myth, the legend. I was amazed, and I was looking to become a better skater myself, and I wanted to be like Gary.
When you look at a guy like this, he's one of the most talented people in his profession. He's been given gifts by God.
It can get frustrating at times when you're trying things that, that maybe don't come as quickly to you as other things. And, you never really felt that sense of frustration with Gary. It was always about improvement and positive reinforcement.
Was it really the end? Was that head injury really the end? God has called Gary to continue to be a blessing to others and to be a passionate example.
My name is Gary Hebert, and this is the World Academy of Hockey, otherwise known as the Inside Edge.
I would recommend anybody that have a chance to come to his hockey school. I think it'd be well worth it. It'd be rewarding to all the kids and anyone he coaches, from whether it's an adult, a professional player, to a little kid like a Mike or a Squirt.
Gary, from day one, has been instrumental to my hockey career. I started out as a potential Division III player, and Gary brought me single-handedly through high school and into a top Division I prospect. I owe it all to Gary, the biggest legend on and off ice there's ever been.
Listen, watch, learn, be confident, and have faith. Those are the answers I was brought to. Yet, I only now am really learning how truly important those 5 things are.
Through preparation, through appropriate thoughtfulness and thinking, we can learn to untie the typical knots between our ears that drive us into underachievement and underperformance. And on the whole, we can learn, I think, to fulfill our God-given potential.
Gary has the innate ability to make people not only better players, but better people. The life lessons they learn from Gary are incredible.
You can always remember leaving that rink knowing as a player I got better, or I had something to improve on to get better. And I think that's what you excelled on as a coach, is giving us the knowledge to know what we needed to do to get better.
There's coaches who know the game, but can you communicate and create passion in your kids and in your players? And Gary's able to do that.
Gary's got great knowledge and the great hands, but more importantly, his ability to connect with people and care for them. His communication skills, to me, really stand out and separate him, and that's why he's one of the best, in the world.
Gary's a legend. He's a special man.
A special man indeed, and we thank him as we always do. Before we talk about the miracle on ice and what's happening in the world of hockey, we always play that one out. So let's bring up the standings currently for the PWHL. We have a new number 1 team. Usually it's been Montreal and Minnesota, always been the number 1. Now it's Toronto. 8 wins, 3 of those wins in overtime, and 5 losses for 30 points. Montreal has 7 wins, 3 wins in overtime, 3 overtime losses, which gets you a point, and 4 losses in the regulation. They are tied. But since Toronto has more regular wins, they get the number 1 spot. Minnesota's at 6 wins, 3 overtime wins, 3 overtime losses, and 4 losses for a total of 27 points. Boston at 4, 3, 2, and 6 at 20, tied with Ottawa. Ottawa should be the number 5 team, but in my rankings anyway, I do believe that there is a tiebreaker that I need to look up, but Boston is ahead of Ottawa, and New York is last with 17 points. The top 4 teams will play each other in a 4-2-1 tournament at the end of the season, which is getting closer and closer. Let's take a look at what's going on with the guys. I did the same thing with the power rankings in hockey as I did with the basketball scores. So Florida is still your number 1 team overall, and they are number 1 in the Atlantic Division with 92 points. Behind them are the Canucks at 91 points. They are number 1 in the Pacific Division. I'll go over the tournament structure in just a second. Boston is the number 3 team overall, 91 points, number 2 in the Atlantic. Dallas, 89 points, and number 1 in the Central. New York, 88 points, number 1 in the Metropolitan. Winnipeg, 87 points, number 1 in the Central. Colorado, 85 points, number 3 in the Central. And the Carolina Hurricanes round out column 1 at 84 points, number 2 in the Metropolitan Division. Toronto has 82 points as well, but they are number 3 in the Atlantic Division. Edmonton, 81 points, number 2 in the Pacific Division. And Nashville has been on a wild tear lately, pun intended. I'll tell that story in just a second. 78 points. They are the wild card spot in the West, the first wild card spot. They are trying to catch the Avalanche. If they do that, they get the number 3 spot. But right now, they are the wild card spot. Get to them in just a second. Kings right behind them at 77 points, number 3 in the Pacific Division. The defending champion Golden Knights have slipped a little bit. They are now down to the wild card position, the second one available. There are 2 wild card spots after the top 3 in each division. I'll get to that in just a second. 4th in the Pacific Division. All they'll need is to win a game, if not one more, to regain the number 3 spot in the Pacific. Philadelphia, 74 points, number 3 in the Metropolitan. Tampa Bay is the first wild card spot in the East at 74, and Detroit is the second wild card spot at 72. And that will be it. 16 teams get in. The first 2 columns are in. Eventually, they will all be. It will be 16 teams there. New York Islanders at 72 points. They are ranked 4th in the Metropolitan. They are literally right behind the Red Wings. The only thing that is keeping the Red Wings above the playoff line is they have more regulation wins than the Islanders do. They may have it. The tiebreaker right now is having games in hand, playing less games. That's the first tiebreaker. But when we reach the end of the season, if a team has the same number of points, the first tiebreaker is regular wins. Overtime wins do not count yet. That's the second tiebreaker. It has to be a regulation win for that to give you a tiebreaker. Minnesota Wild are at 69 points. They are just below the line. They are trying to catch Nashville. They can pass Vegas. That is their goal, but they want to also be above Nashville at some point as well, maybe for a little bit of cushion room. Don't forget, I got that story coming up. Washington at 69 points. They are the 5th in the Metropolitan. St. Louis is also tied with 69. Seattle Kraken at 67. They are the 5th team in the Pacific Division. Flames are the 6th team in the Central at 67. Devils are 66. Number 6 for the Metropolitan. That's kind of scary there to have 3 6s, but that's just the way it works out. Buffalo at 65. Pittsburgh is sliding down. Well, Pittsburgh is usually a dominant team, especially in our hockey league, which I'm still working on, by the way, with 1 month to go before the playoffs. I'll get into that in a bit. Montreal at 58, Arizona at 57, Ottawa at 54, Columbus at 54, Anaheim at 49, San Jose at 39, and there's the red can of paint. Chicago is the first team out. They got eliminated just a couple days ago. San Jose can be eliminated as early as tomorrow if the schedule comes out tonight. San Jose needs to lose, and then Vegas needs to win. Now, but the playoff structure is easy. The top 3 teams in each division, they get in, followed by the next 2 from the remaining teams in the conference. So Florida, Boston, Toronto, 1, 2, 3 in Atlantic. Right now, they're in. New York, Carolina, Philadelphia, 1, 2, 3, they're in. The next 2 teams are Tampa Bay and Detroit. Those are your 8 teams right now. In the West, it's Dallas, Winnipeg, and Colorado, Vancouver, Edmonton, and Los Angeles. Top two teams left after that, Nashville and defending champion Golden Knights. Again, Chicago is out. San Jose could be out as early as the next couple days. Now, here's what happened when the Wild played the Predators. Roy Lou and I have history on that game because that was the first game we went out to when we moved to Tennessee. So here's the scenario. The score was tied. Overtime hockey, 3-on-3. With about maybe 2 minutes left to go, Marc-Andre Fleury comes out of the goal for the Wild, putting an extra attacker on the ice in overtime. Mind you, no penalties were called at this point. They just simply pulled the goalie. The puck was in Nashville zone, 4-on-3. Minnesota scores. Matt Boldy gets a shot out of nowhere, gets it past the goalie. Minnesota wins and defeats the Predators. This revealed a rule that I found very fascinating. This was in our group chat, by the way. Apparently, if you pull the goalie in overtime and it backfires and the opposing team scores on the empty net, your team, being the team that lost, not only loses the game, but forfeits the point your team would have earned for getting to overtime. No clue that this rule ever existed. Had no idea whatsoever. So if Nashville had cleared the puck and fired to the empty net without the goalie there, Nashville would have gotten the full 2 and Minnesota would have gotten nothing. Minnesota would be lower in the standings. Did not even think that was going to happen, but it did. And so congratulations to the Wild for pulling that off. Of course, the NBC analysts and sports networks like Minnesota needed this game. It is true. They did need that game because their clock is running down. Basically how I have it on the StatBoard 9000 over here. In baseball, of course, they have the tragic number. That is the number of losses your team needs to become eliminated. San Jose is down to 1. If they lose, and of course, if Vegas scores a point in their next game, there's that 1 and they're out. So what I usually do is when a team, I call it their clock. When their clock reaches 10, the next team clock starts. Well, Arizona's clock is at 9. So that at the time, Minnesota was the next team. But now since they're moved up so much, I decided to stop their clock until something else happens. Either way, playoff hockey is a month away. And very sad about what happened with Chicago this season. The youngster was hyped up so much. Connor Bedard, where'd you go? Oh, you're shaking your head. I mean, he wears the full helmet now because he broke his jaw earlier. Just recently, he was shown at the end of a period. He had the iPad there. He was the last one to leave the ice. He wanted to know what was going on. Ironically, the next game that the Blackhawks played after being eliminated, they scored 7 goals. So who knows why they did this? They just decided to play so well. There was another game, and then I'll let you talk for a second here, between Buffalo and Ottawa. This was very interesting. The game had gone into overtime. Buffalo was leading. They go to score a goal. Goal goes in with 2 seconds left in overtime. And, celebration. Fans are happy. Fans start to leave. Bench is clear. They literally start to go into the locker room. They start to take off their pads. They start to take off their skates. The referee comes out, and I almost think that they actually did go to a commercial break, a very quick commercial break because they were getting ready to hype up the postgame show. The referee comes out and says, after a review upon the tape, it is determined that Buffalo was offsides. The game, we have no goal. The game must continue. They put 20 seconds on the clock. The teams had to literally scramble because the commentators were thinking, hey, because apparently some were taking their skates off. I guess it happens literally that fast. They get into the locker room, they take off their jerseys, they take off their pads, they take off their skates, they get into their suits and ties or whatever, they get on the bus and go back to the hotel. So after a delay of maybe 3 or 5 minutes, they played for 20 seconds. The game went to the end of overtime. They went to a shootout. Buffalo still ended up winning. A lot of hockey stuff to talk about. Go ahead, Zach.
Just disappointing with Connor.
Yeah, but he's young. He's young.
Yeah.
He's got a career ahead of him.
It's just, I had a lot of high hopes for this season.
Yeah.
But, can't all start out the game fresh.
Yeah.
But that Buffalo-Ottawa situation, that's just odd.
I don't think it was Buffalo-Ottawa. I think it was Buffalo-Edmonton.
Okay.
I'm thinking of Edmonton, Alberta. I was thinking Ontario, thinking Ottawa. So I think it was Buffalo-Edmonton. Because I think McKinnon was there too. So it was Edmonton. Go ahead.
Well, it's like, so how long of a process was it? Like, did they go all the way back to the locker room?
I believe they did because there was a good wait. Like I said, cameras aren't really allowed into the locker room until they're all out of their pads and everything. But they literally had to call everybody back. And so I guess some of them had taken their skates off, and then they're like, no, come back out. Of course, hockey fans let the refs know that the refs suck. It's like, ref, you suck. And yeah, I mean, it was a good maybe 3-5. I don't think it went as high as 10 minutes because they got out. They didn't scrape the ice or anything. They played, and then they went into the shootout. So, hey, they had to make the call. Bottom line, they had to make the call.
Right.
It happens. I'm watching it, and I'm like, is this really happening? And this was on Saturday. This was one of the rare days off that I have now that my schedule is insane. My schedule is big time insane, and it is kind of a little bit sad that I won't be getting to go on to open mic night as much as I'd like anymore. I'm happy to keep going with Sports Bar, but when work calls, I'm 6 days at work, 1 day in the Sports Bar, but I'm still going to get it done. Yeah, I mean, hockey is hockey, and let's quickly get into the baseball news. Baseball legend Darryl Strawberry is hospitalized after. Let me bring up the report. This is from Renegade. He sent this in earlier today, so this is almost breaking news. But let me quickly bring up this story. This was a little bit shocking to me. Let's see what's going on here. Let's bring up this news real quick. Let's come on, you slow computer. When you get breaking news,
Daryl's a legend.
When news breaks, this is from TMZ Sports. Darryl Strawberry suffers heart attack, recovering at hospital. Darryl Strawberry says he sustained a heart attack on Monday evening, but thankfully medics were able to save his life. And now he's recovering at a hospital. The three-time World Series champion explained in a social media post the health scare happened in the St. Louis area. He didn't go into too much detail about the emergency, although he did say docs had to bring him through a stent procedure to fix his ticker. Fortunately, he added, the process brought my heart to total restoration. Your prayers are so absolutely appreciated as I continue to recover. I wrote on Instagram. A-Rod and Matt Barnes and Cecil Fielder showed love. Today is actually his 62nd birthday, and coming up in the summer, his number will be retired by the Mets. So he's okay. There you go. He's okay.
Thank God.
Amen to that. Amen to that. All righty. Before we get out of here for the day, let's talk about which is always our main event in the Sports Bar, NFL football. We are getting closer and closer to the UFL start. That will be coming up, I believe, in a couple of weeks. I think that's at the end of March, if not farther. But news has been going crazy. Free agency live tracker signings.
Is that the word?
Well, I don't want to say nuclear, but well, the biggest one that hits here, of course, Kirk Cousins going to the Falcons from Minnesota. He was entering free agency and all that. That does put a little bit of salt in the wound. And now Sam Darnold is going to Minnesota. So, of course, we thought that, well, Atlanta's only 4 hours away. What if the Vikings come to Atlanta? Unfortunately, it's going to be the other way around. The Falcons are going to be in Minnesota at some point during the season. So Kirk Cousins is going to play against his former team in US Bank Stadium. That's going to be an event. Heck, if I can get that day off, oh boy, would I love to call a play along or a live watch along on that event. Woo! Oh, but I'm not biased or anything. No. StatBoy and StatGirl calling out on how bad we want to see Kirk Cousins fail for leaving Minnesota. Oh, that's a PR nightmare.
The contract was a little too high.
All contracts are too high. Come on. How often do we say that these contracts are insane?
This is true.
I think there was one about Derrick Henry. Wasn't there one about that leaving Tennessee?
Yeah, Derrick Henry left Tennessee and signed with the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, like Lamar needs another running option. Yeah. Okay.
Russell Wilson leaving Denver, going to.
Oh, that's he went to Greg's Pittsburgh Steelers. So
I can't see Russell Wilson in a Pittsburgh Steelers jersey.
I can't either.
3 are there more? What else you got?
Saquon Barkley left the Giants to go to the Eagles.
Big mistake. They're going to love him on the East Coast.
Yep.
New York, Philly, really? I mean, come on.
DeAndre Swift is now in Chicago. Tony Pollard is now in Tony Pollard's now in Tennessee.
Okay, that's not so bad.
The Saints have done nothing. Of course not.
You're fine. Yeah, you walked away scot-free.
Jameis.
Jameis Winston. Yeah.
Jameis went to Cleveland because,
Where are you, Josh?
You know he's going to be a starter eventually.
Oh, for sure.
Deshaun's injury prone. And then I'm looking through my Saints schedule, and then, I'm just going through the list of who we play. Right. Cleveland comes here next year. So,
Cleveland's got a lot going on because also there's news going out or stories going out that SummerSlam's going to be in Cleveland.
Yes. Mr. Prime himself announced that today on Impulsive.
Yeah, so Josh and Noah and all of them are going to be heading to Cleveland Brown Stadium for SummerSlam. Won't that be fun?
Yep.
Heck, maybe we'll join them. Never say never. Never say never. Well,
I'm sure we can find a club or two if you know. If you know.
Nobody I know. Nope. No. And then we'll touch on the wrestling really quick before we get out of here. We now had traded slaps. That's a good thing. What was up? Oh my God! Did you see the Oscars?
Yes. Oh, John, what was that? Okay, Mr.
Okay. I know this is a sports show. I'm sorry, John, if you're watching. I'm sorry, but man, oh man, I did not. That was more of John Cena that I ever needed to see ever again. And thanks to social media. Thank God he was not all in the buff. There were some spoilers there. It was a glorified loincloth. That's what I'm calling it. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's still I know he's over. I believe he's over 50. I think he has hit 50. But still, he's got the body of a 30-year-old. And from coming from me, that's saying something. And whoever was in the audience, whoever they cut to when he came out with the envelope,
she was dying.
if John wasn't already married, she would have gone up and tackled him right then and there on the stage.
Oh yes.
She was like, and Nikki Bella was in the audience apparently, and she's like, I don't know what she was thinking, but of course they were rumors galore. Like Nikki knew what John was capable of, because if you remember when Nikki and John were dating, they hit like 100 million subscribers or whatever. And of course, they drop their robes and all that in certain places. So, John's not ashamed to hide it, apparently. But,
nope.
But once I found out that he was actually wearing something, I'm like, okay, it's all in comedy. And then, of course, The Rock had to go on Kimmel and say something about it. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm sitting there. I'm standing in a room. I'm there with Bad Bunny, and John Cena comes up with no clothes on. And I was like, and Kimmel's monologue, oh, my God. That was – you don't mess with RDJ. Leave RDJ alone.
Kimmel was talking about who the biggest – he did an interview afterwards of who the biggest dick was of the Oscars. Excuse my French.
Whatever.
But it's Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, I would agree that. I mean, he wasn't pulling any punches, not at all. He was not pulling any punches at all.
Oh, Daniel, that is hilarious. Oh.
Sure, why not? He can pull it off.
He's done so many different roles. Why not make Korean just have him go out there with Tarzan? We'll get Mila Kunis to play Jane. There we go.
Yeah. All right. Now that we've officially gone off the rails, WrestleMania is coming up closer and closer. Congrats to Sami Zayn on winning the gauntlet match last night, going up against Gunther. I don't know. He's been doing a Cody-esque finish the story kind of thing where he wants to be a champion. Hey, you never know. If Sami is the one, he's just one good haluva kick away from possibly finally taking the title off of Gunther. Never say never. All righty, friends and family. It is time to wrap up the sports bar for the week. Thank you all for watching. Coming up, I do have a shill making their return tomorrow. The Greg Cherry Show comes back after a small break, and then immediately following that, or before and after, of course, March 13th, AEW presents Big Business, and that is a watch-along event coming up on that. That's good to know. All righty, friends. Until next time, remember, be positive to each other. Follow Dory Lou and I on the Twitter at LBStatKid1977 and at Hathaway Lou, and on Instagram at Dory Lou and Instagram at StatBoy13. Where can we find you, DJ?
Follow me on Instagram at DJ Mike King Official. Follow me on Twitter at Fluffy Madden God. And you can keep up with all of my spring break madness.
And all the Mardi Gras madness as well, too. Until next time, my friends, again, be positive. I love you all. Follow us. StatBoy out.
The Jeff Meacham Network's Multiverse of Media. For over 15 years, the recognized symbol of excellence and the standard bearer in coverage of sports and entertainment.